Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Come on. Can we start already? Hello. Hello. I just want to say hello to my amazing, amazing, amazing audience, and Dain's amazing, amazing, amazing audience, and everyone out there who found their way here, because your world is about to change. And I'm serious about that, because your worldview and the way that you're looking at things, just open it up. Just open up your perspective and be able to choose a giant shift. That's what we're going to kind of do today, because we're going to rock some worldviews. We're going to shake it up a lot, because we're talking about money. What else shakes up worldviews other than that great topic of money? But in this context, we're talking with somebody who has access to greater levels of consciousness through not only his main purpose in life, but through a set of tools, through Access Consciousness, which he's the co-founder of. For those of you that know it, we're going to be accessing new levels of consciousness today, but we're also going to be breaking open and cracking open some models of you, changing you. Dain Heer is my wonderful, incredible guest, who I'm so excited to see. Hi.
Hi there. I'm so excited too.
Virtual hug. I went.
No, exactly. Yes.
Oh, God,
there must be. Let's create a new thing. A Google hug. Okay.
A Google. That's right. A Google hug to thousands of people. I'll do that. Yeah. So we're breaking it up today. We're talking about money, but from a different perspective. Not necessarily the cash, the green thing. We're talking about how to gain greater accesses to your level of havingness around money so that you create it effortlessly.
Yes.
So it appears. Yes, just so it appears. And not from an out-of-the-sky thing. It's creating the level of, I guess, accessing levels of awareness inside yourself that enables you to be fantastic. So just want to, first of all, ask you, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while.
Oh,
feels like years, because it hasn't been, though.
It has been. It seems like it's been forever, and I am absolutely phenomenal. I just got back from a month facilitating classes in Europe, and it was absolutely amazing. And my Being You Changing the World book became a bestseller yesterday. Yeah! I'm so excited.
Awesome! Awesome, Dain!
So now I can be, so what I've asked, is for my team to introduce me as international best-selling author, Dr. Dain Heer.
Gorgeous,
and,
gorgeous, love it.
By the way, that is a total joke. For anybody that knows me, right, that actually makes you laugh. For anybody that doesn't, you're like, what a pompous ass. That's great. Yep. But like, if you can't take yourself lightly, how are you going to create more lightness and everything around you? So everything is absolutely phenomenal. Things are growing dynamically in Access Consciousness, yeah, and it's so cool to see the changes that people are able to actualize now and like truly bring into their world. Yeah. It's off the charts.
Yeah, I noticed, because I asked you that for a reason, because I was listening to the new material that you are offering today, and it's a totally different level than what I had listened to 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 3 months ago, and probably 3 weeks ago, because you're seriously just chunking it up, accessing different dimensions, different levels. It's awesome. And I heard you say something that I thought was so cool. You said that that you have probably touched, I don't know, 3.5 or 4, I don't know, millions of lives at this point. Probably more than that. Probably tens of millions of lives. And those people are accessing millions of lives. And it's starting to lighten up the planet.
And that's the exciting part. In this area of, it's funny because the seekers of the world, the people like you, the people like me, the people that are watching, have so often had such a difficulty with manifesting, actualizing, and creating what they actually desire. And they've sort of had this separation from money, as though money really is the root of all evil. They say that in the Bible, which I think is funny. But in actuality, these are the people that should have the resources and the sense of presence, the sense of ease, the sense of joy, the sense of possibility in the world that is actually available. And money should be a part of that. And so I'm excited because, you know, what this conversation is really about is how do we actually be us in the way that we've always known was possible and available, that has been maybe just beyond our reach, or for some of us seemingly way beyond our reach, and have that create the receiving and the having of money and everything else.
Yes, yes. And I've kind of noticed the fact that you're not talking so much to the wounded any longer. You're talking, you're talking to the greatness in people. You're talking
Yes.
to the awesomeness in people. And going then from there,
Yeah.
you're kind of done with that. Yes, this happened and that happened and it sucked then, but this is now and there's where we're going. And
Yes.
and you're spending less time on that, more time on going to the future and moving into the future. There's a slight echo. I'll get rid of it. You guys hear that? Echo. Anyway, this is where you're going. Is you're going further into the future, which I'm excited.
Yes. Yeah, and that really is the, I think that's a perfect description of it. And it's because after spending so long thinking that if I could get people through their problems that they would choose their greatness, I realized, no, until you get a sense that there's something that is the greatness of you, that there's something great about you, you don't even have a paradigm for choosing something other than problems. What I started recognizing was when I started speaking with people about their greatness, talking to them on that level, and then inviting them to be it, all of a sudden all this stuff that seemed like the problems just started vanishing. And so there's this whole other way of being in the world and being with everything that allows, once again, like you said, the havingness of everything to show up from a totally different place.
Yep. I mean, it's funny because I would call you when I had you would get a hold of each other, you sit, and I haven't talked to you for a little while because I'm like, there's nothing really to call Dain about other than, hey, life is great. So maybe I'll do that.
Yes, please. That is always welcome. Always, absolutely. You know, and the other thing is cool too, because it's nice to know that there's a way of changing. When there's a problem that comes up, it's nice to know there's a way of changing it. But when your life is focused on that and focused on being a problem solver, you always create a new problem to solve. When your life starts to focus on the greatness of what you're capable of, that's what you start calibrating towards. And everything else raises with more ease. And this is the beauty of it, more ease than you ever thought possible. In fact, that's when the ease shows up. Until then, you don't have the sense of ease because you're always looking at what's wrong next.
Totally. And I look back onto maybe a year ago when we did the Money Manifestation Summit then, and I was in a world of swirling problems. And I think back to then, that was then, and I'm in such a new place now. I'm inviting everyone who's listening right now to just match the level of greatness. Right now, just be at this level of greatness, and we're going to take it from here. Yes, there may be problems. Yes, there may be swirlings of stuff. But I'm inviting you now, just come here. Come here. And let's see where we go from here. Because this could be really a fun experiment. Not only an experiment, but this is real. This is real. Match this here, and let's go up.
Yeah, let's enjoy the adventure of being alive. Let's enjoy exploring the greatness that has always been there that we may not have recognized before. And let's do something different and start to tap into, because the thing is, and nobody tells us this, and especially nobody who's trying to help you solve your money problem, quote unquote. But we're magic. The thing is, let's start tapping into our capacities to manipulate the molecules around us and invite them to contribute to us, and invite everything out there that wants to give to us to actually do so. And then if we're doing something about getting rid of limitation, it's about unlocking the impediments that don't allow that to occur. You know, not, oh, I've got this problem and this problem and this problem. It's like, hey, you know what? I realize somewhere, I know somewhere in my world, and here's a tool you want to use. What's true will always make you feel lighter. A lie makes you feel heavier. So when I say this, that we're magic, that makes you feel lighter, let's go from that. Let's go from, hey, you know what? Hey, magic. We have truly almost what you would call, actually, I'm not going to say almost because it's actually more than this, but we have magical capacities to create. And when you're in that space, you know how when you ask, it shows up as if by magic? That's you being the space of you, honoring and acknowledging and being willing to choose from the greatness of you, and then you just ask. And the universe goes, oh my gosh, you're asking, of course it's you, I recognize you, you're not doing problems anymore, cool, let's go.
Totally. That's right. It's matching that level in the universe. It's there all around us, but we're
Yes,
looking for solve the problem, which brings the problem back.
exactly.
And if we just go towards greatness now. So I had the opportunity to listen to a lot of this material before coming on this call, and I want to bring in some of the concepts so that we could start to shake some things up and do
Please.
some of the processes that you talk about. There's this times Godzillion in the offer, but so I wrote out some of the processes, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of shaking things up. Yeah. All right.
I mean, if you notice, and maybe people out there listening are noticing also, but if you notice the energy, it's like there's a palpable, there's a potency, you know, and it's rising as we're on the hangout together. Exactly. I know you and I both like, yes, let's go.
I'm having a hard time staying seated. Okay.
Me too.
So focus. All right. So you said, where have you sought your greatness? Not okay. You have to say this one. Where you say it, because I get stuck on the middle part here. Where have you sought your greatness, only not to receive it, and then fought to eliminate it?
Yes. And so what is, you hear that and you're like, your brain kind of fries. So where have you sought your greatness? In other words, look for the greatness of you, and then not been willing to receive it. And because you weren't willing to receive that you were as great as you are, then you have to fight to eliminate that greatness out of your life. Well, how do you do that? One of the greatest ways you do it in this particular reality, where you need money to get stuff, is by limiting your money flows. So what happens is what you do is you go, oh my gosh, I know I'm great, because we know this about us somewhere. No matter how pathetic we're pretending to be, and by the way, guys, it's a pretense. No matter how pathetic we're pretending to be, we know there's something great about us. We keep going, yeah, well, one day maybe I'll choose it. Or one day maybe somebody will show me how to choose it. Or one day. Right. And so what happens is this greatness is there, but if you're not willing to receive it, you have to prove it doesn't exist. So let's say you go, hey, I really like to change my money situation. I'd like to have $10,000 a month, let's say. And you could have the capacity to create it, but if you're not willing to get that you're great enough to create $10,000 a month, now you have to negate it and eliminate it. And this, unfortunately, is how it works, which is why when looking at this, because on the last summit we did stuff that was like so specifically about clearing money stuff, and I got so many emails from that about people saying, thank you so much, things are actually changing for the first time ever, and I'm like, yay!
Nice.
And started recognizing that there's an even faster, more dynamic path to actually having what it is you'd like to have, whether it's money or anything else, whatever else you want to bring into the world. And that is this thing that we're talking about, where if you could actually get if you could get the energy of the, how do we put it, like the greatness, the capacity, the magic that you are, what happens is you can now, if you can start living as that, you wake up in the morning with that. Every choice you make that day is from that, instead of from you having to hide it or negate it.
Yes.
And now it's not just a matter of, oh, I can make $10,000. You're like, of course I can make $10,000. That's easy. What else would I like? And that's what starts to show up.
Yes. That's right. That's this whole vibration is shifting and it's continually changing. So then I had a question was, okay, so where have you sought greatness only to have not received it and then fought against it? So I thought you said, where have I sought greatness only to have received it and then fought against it? Is that different?
Well, if you're not willing to receive it, you have to fight against it. So in essence, what happens is you seek it, even if you get evidence of it, wow, I am that great, or this kind of greatness exists in the world, even if you get evidence of it, if you're not willing to receive and get that you are that, and that you can be that, then you have to negate it, and you have to fight against it. And so my question would be, how much of what isn't showing up in your life right now, everybody, is where you've been fighting against the greatness of you, because you didn't want to get that you were that different and that capable, and instead wanted to pretend you lived in the same box of reality everybody else does. And what if you don't?
That you were probably placed in from a very long time ago and said, don't shine too
Exactly.
bright. And yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Don't stand out.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that's the message we get continuously. Don't stand out. Even for people who have done, self-help, metaphysics, spirituality, the things that are supposedly on the out there edge of reality,
Right.
they're still supposed to fit into that particular box, which is no different than the rest of reality. It's just over here.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is about, what if we can embrace the greatness of everything? The greatness of every tradition, but also the greatness of us. And when I talk to some people about that, they're like, greatness, I don't know who you're talking about. You must not be talking to me. I'm like, I'm talking to you. I'm talking right at you directly, right now, together. And they're like, oh, no, you're not talking to me. I'm like, I get where that comes from.
Right.
And it's interesting because just within the past several months, it seems like we're able to have a different conversation where people are actually willing to go, you know what, I always knew there was something great about me. And I don't care anymore if nobody else is willing to acknowledge. I will acknowledge it, and I will start.
Thank you. Thank you for validating it. Yes.
Yeah.
I have noticed the same shift.
Yeah.
And it's having the conversation is easier.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I suggested let's start the call from here.
Absolutely.
And then let's see where we can go now, because the pity party's not here anymore.
Exactly.
It happened, yeah, but we've had enough conversations about it now to just move on. And there's a lot of places where you can still have the pity party. But let's do this now. So you mentioned the word judgment. So can we let go of the judgment that we're not great?
Yeah, so as you know, and maybe people out there don't, we have this thing called a clearing statement in Access. We do this, one of the aspects of Access Consciousness is something called verbal processing. And what we do with verbal processing is it's a way of letting go of all the hangers-on of heaviness that you've been living with that feel like, you're carrying Santa's sack of bricks of just old crap that isn't yours. It's a way of letting it go. Okay? And it's based on the idea, like if you look at the room you're in, if you look at the wall in the room you're in, it looks solid, but science tells us it's 99.999% space. Well, what if the limitations in your life were exactly the same way? And interestingly, quantum physics tells us that they are. So what we're basically using is this marriage, if you will, of consciousness and quantum physics, because the consciousness of the universe doesn't want you to have to function from limitation and difficulty anymore. That's something we imposed on ourselves. So what we're doing is we're accessing our consciousness, which is why it's called Access Consciousness, to undo the lie of limitation that you've been buying and functioning from, no matter whether it started last week or 100 billion years ago or wherever, it doesn't matter. We ask it to go back and unlock from that point.
So those limitations that we have around ourselves, whether it be judgment or fear or where our past or whatever, are literally like walls, energetic walls around ourselves?
Very much so. And that's the interesting thing is most people are living kind of like they're in an invisible labyrinth. And so what will happen, and how you know this occurs, is if you've ever done something and you tried to change some area and you felt great about it, and then all of a sudden you're going along and everything is cool, and then all of a sudden like smack, and you hit your head against something invisible, and you're like, ow!
What, right, what was that? Yeah,
exactly. What was that? And then all of a sudden you feel stopped, and you feel, a lot of times you feel back where you just started from, rather than, and you just changed it.
Because it's safe, and you're like, okay, well this is safe, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, what happens is if you don't, the beauty of this Access Consciousness clearing statement is we're going back to the point of creation of wherever you lock this thing in place in the first place.
Okay.
So the difficulty is if you change something, but you don't go back to the point of creation of it, where it originally started, it often regrows into another invisible wall in front of you. And so part of the beauty of this is most of those walls, well, I guess all of those walls really that we're functioning from are energetic. We can't see them. We just know we keep running into them energetically. And Access works brilliantly on changing the energy of limitation into possibility. It takes that wall and busts it down, and now you have this clear field of space and possibilities, and then it just becomes a matter of what would I like to choose?
Yeah. So Okay, so what we're choosing here, all right, so I'm going to go after another one of these clearing statements because they were so good. Yeah, I took notes here. What you're talking about here is, I'm going to ask the audience to go here with me because when I had that near-death experience and I went out of my body and looked down on my body in that bike accident I had so long ago,
Right.
I know for sure that I went to another dimension, another place, I mean, it could have been, you know, the knock on my head got my critical faculties so far offline that I was able to access it, or that it was an actual another dimension. But I know that since I came back here, and I'm talking to you now, that I can access that whenever I want.
Yeah.
It's there. I've already visited it. It was amazing. It was limitless. It was boundaryless. It was more vast than you've ever seen. And it was an instant space of manifestation.
Yes.
Anything I could even envision was here, was right here. I didn't have to go out to anything. It all just flowed in. And that I know exists. So I would like to know, take a breath. I'd like to know, how do you call that in, Dain, closer? Without having to knock myself on the head, fall down a mountain, and crack my helmet in 13 places.
Exactly. And the thing that
People
I
have
would
crazy.
say about it is what we tend to do is we tend to try to place it in another dimension rather than recognizing that it's right here, right now.
Oh.
And everything that doesn't allow you to know that is what we're working on undoing. But everything, so here's the way the clearing statement works. Everything that doesn't allow you to know that, and in so doing, to know what you know, and to know that you know, and to know what you know, well, let's just go with that. Everything that doesn't allow that, everything that's in the way, all of those energetic walls that you built up, and all of the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections that you bought, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong,
Yes.
good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yeah.
Now, my hands move like this when the energy moves. It's part of how I know something's happening. But so when I say this, and some of you, as I start talking, may just fuzz out. It's like, ah. It's because what I'm doing is fuzzing your brain, fuzzing your mind, actually, because your mind is a dangerous thing, wasting it, okay? You, the being, create all the greatness. Your mind is like a big card catalog, judging everything that comes in, and if it hasn't seen it before, it says, no, it's probably bad. And our mind is something that has gotten in our way, not assisted us. So what this is doing is, number one, frying your mind, zapping it. But what it's also doing is going back to where, if you look at the question I just asked, going back to every one of those places where you have separated from that dimension, if you will, even though I would say everything you've done to separate it into a separate place or space rather than being able to live it here.
Making it another dimension instead of it being right
Well,
here.
and yeah, and what you're saying is so accurate, and I don't mean to limit or undo that in any way, because what you accessed was what is actually true for you. And my point of view is, if you can access it right after you've just had a near-death experience, what's preventing us from accessing it right here, right now? If it exists, shouldn't we be able to access it here?
That's what I've been toying with. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so what this is about is really stepping into the place where you can start to access that. Now, I'm going to also say that for a lot of people out there, it's absolutely terrifying to consider that you could actually have everything you've been asking for that you keep out here, because if it actually showed up, then you would go, what's wrong? Why is this happening? Except you're really comfortable with the wanting of it. What would happen if you were as comfortable with the having of it?
Yeah. That's interesting, because I think sometimes the human psyche wants to want things. It wants to
Yes.
acquire, it wants to want, it wants to have goals.
Yes.
And if it actually has it, it wouldn't know what to do.
And that is so true. And that's the thing, is your mind would not know what to do because it would
Right.
no longer be seeking for the unattainable. The difficulty is we've been seeking the unattainable for so long, we think that's our natural state. My point of view is it's having and being in connection with everything that allows you to know that as you have that, you can always create more and greater. And I think that's one of the things we haven't realized.
So what does this have to do with money? Money and manifestation.
Yeah.
Those are two
Well,
different
okay,
words.
so for me, I don't use the word manifestation because even though I know it's the title of the summit, and I get in trouble every time we get on, and I say, my own point of view about
Okay,
things here.
okay.
But what I've noticed is, see, manifest. If you look it up in a dictionary, it means how something shows up. It
Okay.
manifests in this way. So manifestation is when you say I'd like more money or I want more money, you're saying I want how it shows up more money. If you would like to actually have money, what you want to do is you want to actualize it. Actualize means bringing into reality. Manifestation means how it shows up.
Hmm.
So they're two different things, and we get a little twisted or bent when we go, I want to manifest more money, because what you really want to do is actualize more money. Manifestation will be how it shows up. So when we talk about this, what is this thing, everything that we've been talking about, what does this have to do with money? And my point of view is everything. Because have you ever woken up in the morning and had one of those days where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to be alive, I'm so happy. And you're driving in traffic, but you don't care. You're like, I'm in traffic, who cares if I'm in traffic? I'm having such a great day, it doesn't matter, I'm just having so much fun. Your stepmother calls you, or that relative that you just hate talking to even though you don't want to acknowledge it, and they call and you're like, oh wow, I can just totally be here with them. Cool, no problem. No matter what shows up, you're willing to receive it. Well, and then have you ever had one of those days where you're just in such a bad mood, you want to hit
Triggered
the
by
alarm?
everything.
Yeah, and you're annoyed by everything. And even when your child comes to give you a hug, you're like, eh. They put their arms around you, they're like, I love you, Mommy, and you're like, eh.
Yeah. Yep. Had it. Been it.
That's one of the days where you're not willing to receive. And so my friend Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, said something very profound to me when I first came to Access, because my point of view was the one thing I really wanted to get handled was money and unhappiness. And so I was talking to him about this. I'm like, Gary, I've got a money issue. And he said, no, you don't. I'm like, no, Gary, I've got a money issue. He said, no, you don't. I said, Gary, I've got a money issue. He said, no, you don't. After the third time, I finally went, what do you mean? And he said, there's no such thing as a money issue. It's only an issue in what you're willing to receive. And I went, oh. And what I realized was I looked back at those days where I was willing to receive everything, even traffic, and it didn't matter. Even annoying relatives, and it didn't matter. And I realized I was willing to receive everything on those days, but those are the days when I was feeling great, when I was actually experiencing the greatness of me. On the days where I didn't even want to receive love and caring were the days when I was feeling like a little pile of poo and didn't want anybody to know it and wanted to keep everybody else out.
Yeah.
And I started recognizing this thing where if you have more of these days, where you have a sense of the greatness that everything can be and the greatness of you, and when you have a sense of being connected with everyone and everything, and a sense of not having to shut anything out, now all of a sudden you're in the receiving space that allows money to come in too. So it's not specifically money that we reject, that's just one of the effects of it. What we do is we stop our receiving, which stops money from being able to come in too. Because you can't put a brick wall up that lets money in and keeps everything else out.
Good point. So it's receiving everything, and that art of receiving and the practice of receiving, the openness of receiving that allows that and everything else wonderful and good to come in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And it was with that awareness in mind that my amazing team and I crafted the package that we put together, because it's got all these different aspects, even including your body and being connected with that what it does is, I didn't realize this for a very long time, but I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is actually a lawyer and just came to Access and has actually done a lot of the classes. And we were having this conversation, and she said, you know what? I didn't realize the way life could be. I mean, I remembered a long time ago I knew it should be this way, and then I lived my life and became a teenager, and then I went to college and became a lawyer, and I have forgotten it. She's like, I didn't realize it could be this way, to wake up and be alive and create from this space and receive and create money and create everything else. She's like, it's just, I've got such a different space of my being. And when we had this conversation, I realized that so many of the people that I try to talk to about this stuff, they're like, it doesn't make sense in their reality because they gave up on that so long ago. And what I'm really talking about is a space of being able to live, breathe in the gratitude for being alive, the joy for being alive, not having to judge anyone or anything, the connectedness with everyone and everything, and the gratitude that that is. And if you get just for a moment that energy, that space that it creates, that's the receiving of everything and everyone. Now all you have to do is ask, what would I like to receive? And if you'd like to receive money, from there you go, hey, universe, here we go.
Now that has to, though, have to do with feeling the greatness within you. You have to, you know, as I learned through listening to the class on greatness, and the third one, that there's 3 classes, the third one is so powerful. They're all really good, but the third one just really had a different, every time you did it, the vibration increased. But to be in that place of greatness in yourself, I mean, to really truly feel that you are in that state of greatness, only then are you able to really do this receiving that you're talking about. Because then you feel worthy.
Yeah.
It's not even worthiness. It's beyond that. Greatness is big. What does it mean when you say greatness?
Well, that's the interesting thing about it. From my point of view, it's being that space that allows you to have total gratitude for your life and living and everyone and everything in it, no matter what role they played.
With no judgment.
Yeah, with no judgment, exactly. And also, and no judgment of you especially. Because if you're not judging you, you don't judge them or anyone else.
That's what I meant, yes. No judgment of yourself, yes. Yes.
And beyond that, to be able to know that you can ask for, choose, and create anything you truly desire. And it's something that is so naturally us that we've so separated from. And the path back to it is really this kind of cool thing of, in a sense, remembering who you are, remembering who you already are. And like you said about those calls, it's like number one starts at this one place. And one of the things we talk about there is connection points, to how you have to maintain a connection to what was in the past and not move forward, and maintain a stability point in your life so you don't move forward. And it's like each call builds upon the next. And like you said, by the time you get to the third call, you're like, I get what he's talking about, you know, and all of a sudden it just kind of like comes in and goes in your world, and you're like, where did that come from?
Seriously,
you know?
I mean, that's just item 1 on this. But the cool thing is that you extrapolated from these classes, and I'll point people in the direction of the page we're talking about. It's theawareshow.com/Dain, D-A-I-N. So go to the page right now, theawareshow.com/Dain. There's all sorts of really cool special treats on that page, by the way. You get to watch videos and listen to sample segments of what we're talking about, so you can really check out the energy and the vibration. People actually started to buy this offer before we even got on the call, because it's really cool the way that you can give people that experience. Because what we're talking about here is not of this world sometimes.
Yeah.
And the goal is to get what you're talking about in this world to be the same thing. We're still on that path. We're still trajectory Earth. We're still getting there. But what you're talking about here is, I mean, light years ahead of what we were talking about, you know, even 6 months ago. And that's why I think it's really cool. And the whole part on greatness, he spends the first class about judgment, and then goes into this other feeling of what the world can be, and then the third class is all about bringing it into the accessing it from the places into the dimensions. And then he pulls out all the clearing statements from each class, and that's a separate track. So you can listen to that while you sleep, you can listen to that during your day while you're doing stuff, whatever. The clearing statements have an energy to them, and you can explain a little bit about that, which is really cool.
And the way it works is, you know, they have an energy that It's like it takes the, because for anything that's sticking you, there's an energy to it. You know, where you look at, we're talking about money, okay? So you look at your bank account and you go, or you look and go, well, I would like to have more, but then you hear nothing but crickets and just blankness, you know, and you're like, and a tumbleweed rolls across your mind, and you're like, apparently I don't know how to create that, you know what I mean? But that's that's an energy too. And so what happens is these clearing statements, what they do is they start changing the energies of limitation in your life. And there's not one of us that didn't grow up with energies of limitation around us. And what most of us did is we sort of sucked those in, and now we're living from those.
It became our reality. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we have as our reality, is our creation of reality. And it's become our reality and what we think creates reality, but it doesn't have to be our reality. It's just the reality we chose. And so what this is about then is unlocking energetically those invisible walls. So rather than having, you know, crickets when you go to say, I would really like to create something different, all of a sudden you start to have a sense of what that could be like and what direction to head in. And so it takes away the other thing that it does is, it's so, once again, it's like, I wish it were easier to explain, but it's really like it just opens your world up. You start to have a sense of space. Yeah. Is what most people say is like, wow, I used to be judging this, and I used to be judging me for this, and I used to be judging this, but I don't do that anymore. I'm just kind of cool with me now. Yeah. And that's what it starts to do, and open up that receiving too of not only the greatness but also the money flows.
So that process is what you call them on the call there. Let me see if I can find another one that I wrote down. Okay, so this is, automatic response systems.
Oh, so, goodness.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's one of the things that keeps you from the greatness that is you, is these automatic response systems. And what are those?
It's like this. If you've ever had something come up, you know, a situation come up, and you respond in a particular way, that's an automatic response system, or an autoresponder system. And so what happens is we have these things that are like literally energetic structures that we have that are stuck in our field somewhere, or in our body sometimes. And so we'll have a situation come up, and all of a sudden we respond in exactly the same way that's always a limited way. So if you have somebody, you know, like if you have somebody call on the phone and you get this, and it's always that way with that person, that's an autoresponder system. And what you do is you use this clearing statement that we have, which is a way of going back and changing this stuff from the point of creation. And you go, okay, so all the automatic response systems that I have limiting my money flows, I'm now willing to let them go, or destroy the structure and uncreate, and take the creative energy back so I can create with it. Right and wrong, good and bad, hot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And that's one of the biggest things. These autoresponder systems are huge. It's like most of our life is on autopilot. Any area of your life that is on autopilot, you have autoresponder systems running it. You can use this clearing statement to start changing that really dynamically.
Yep, absolutely. In many, many areas of your life. I mean, not just money. Yep. It happens with your body. It happens with your health. It happens with your life, your relationships. It just starts to clear. That clearing statement. Now, is a clearing statement different than a processes?
So the process would be the thing that you say, and then the clearing statement is what you say to clear it.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I want to go to callers, and I know that you're really good with that. And I want to one more time. I want to invite you back to the website that I was talking about. I started off with that. It's theawareshow.com/Dain, D-A-I-N, and you will see. Wow. The classes that I'm talking about are on here, where he gives you the full class of the experiences that he's talking about with the processes and the clearing statements, and then pulls out the processes so that you can just listen to those and continue to work the energy. And then that was what I love so much about the third call. On one of those was about the ESC. There was a little mini ESC you did there. Oh gosh, can we do a little bit? Can we do a little bit of where you went into the earth, and then you let the veins spread throughout the earth of...
Okay. So, all right, everybody, if you're watching, if you can close your eyes, please. Please take a deep breath in from the top of your head down to the tips of those cute, sweet, adorable little toes of yours. Thanking your sweet body for being the gift that it is. Thanking you for being the gift you are to the world that you so seldom acknowledge. And if you'll notice, there's this beautiful planet beneath us that has been gifting and contributing everything it possibly can, everything she possibly can, to creating a space of safety, a space of possibilities for us to grow into our greatness. Right now, allow an energy line to run from your heart, to run from your crown, and to run from your root and your solar plexus and your tummy down into this beautiful planet of ours, and allow it to follow the cracks and the crevices of magic that have been held within the earth that we have not yet been willing to access and ask to awaken. Allow the non-physical beings of consciousness to contribute to you and your body. The ones that you know are around, but you kind of think you're crazy for asking for. What if they actually know how to help you unlock your receiving, unlock the magic of you, and unlock the greatness of you? Allow that energy line to connect you with this beautiful planet of ours as it goes down and through, down and through, down and through. And allow the earth to once again be connected with you and you with it. And allow it to offer you its healing energy. And allow it to awaken within you the sense and the awareness of the greatness you be, that you have been overshadowing by believing that you are only real in this reality. This reality is like an overlay that causes you to function from it as the only possible choice when what you know goes far beyond it. It's like a two-dimensional paper reality put around you at every turn, and it is time to bust through it. Everything that doesn't allow it, can we undo it and change it on 3? 1, 2, 3. And allow the earth and this energy of this ESC to contribute to you and your body. Allow it to allow the opening up again of receiving for you. So many of us shut it down when we were children because we received unkindness or judgment or meanness or abuse or any of the other aspects of this reality. And yet, if you'll allow your receiving to open up, you'll go beyond the abuse to the possibilities you know can be. And everything that doesn't allow that, let us change it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Allow this energy to infuse your body, your life, and your world, if you would, and recognize it's there to ask. They're at your request, and all you have to do is ask in order to receive. This is the beginning of opening up something that is actually the greatness of you, something that really is indescribable in words, but that you do know the energies of, even if cognitively you don't understand why or how. And everything you've done to make cognitive awareness as though that is the greatest awareness rather than your energetic awareness, which would allow you to receive, be, know everything. And we change it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
It gave me chills all through the back of my head.
Yeah,
Chills. Ooh.
that's
How many people feel different? Wow. Wow.
whew.
Good.
And
Amazing stuff.
the only last thing I would like to say to everybody just in connection with that is, what do you know that you've been pretending not to know or denying that you know? That if you now allowed it to be, would awaken the greatness you truly be in totality. And everything that doesn't allow it, can we change it on three? One, two, three. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
That is amazing.
So what so much of this is like is it's kind of like as you listen to it and as you watch it, it's like putting magic on your iPod or watching it on your computer.
Totally.
And when I say that, I mean I'm willing to access all the magic I know is possible, and it continues to grow. But as you see that, it's not just me. If it were just mine, I wouldn't be talking to anybody. We wouldn't be having this conversation. But what it does, it opens up these memories for you of what you know.
Yeah.
And starts opening up this channel for receiving that makes money not even relevant anymore, because you start to know how to create that too. You start to recognize you can do that by your request also. And this is what this is aimed at inviting and changing.
Yes, that's what I was just noticing, is that it's I'm having a hard time speaking because something just got rewired.
Yes.
I got to come back down just for the purpose of the show.
Yeah, this is where I go, okay, feel your feet on the floor.
Okay, yeah. Desk. Because, yeah, I was completely changing and rewiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was what was happening. I want to get to callers because that is going to help, because I can't talk. I'll get there. Press the caller button, Lisa. Okay, I got it.
You can do this.
I can do this. Yes. There are many, many questions that are coming in. Incredible questions. And someone was asking from Bozeman, is abundance is having more than enough, correct? So abundance is having, what is abundance? This person's really asking, Jackie.
Well, I would say it's having more than enough of anything that you desire. And
do you ever use that word, abundance,
not
Dain?
very often, which is interesting because let me tell you how it's worked so many times in classes. Is somebody will raise their hand, because in classes I'll take any question and see if we can work with that to create something. And my point of view is there's no such thing as a stupid question. Only stupid people who won't ask questions. So
that's cool.
So we'll have somebody go, and I would say, if you could have anything out of this class, what would it be? And somebody will raise their hand and go, I'd like more abundance.
Right.
And I go, okay, what do you really desire? Well, I like more abundance because my credit card bills are getting really high. Right. And I'm like, okay, so what you really like is more money. And they're like, well, I can ask for that? I'm like, yeah, if you'd like money, just ask. And so what happens is I don't use the word very often because it's not very often what people mean or are talking about. For me, it's like when you live from this space of gratitude, there is an abundance in the universe. And so for me, abundance really is going beyond the penuriousness and the poverty consciousness that this reality tries to perpetrate on people as though that's the only choice available. So abundance is really having a sense of not only enough, but more than enough, and total gratitude for everything you do have, knowing that there will always be more of anything you truly desire.
That puts it pretty clearly, very clearly. Okay, now I'm going to callers, and you press *2 to raise your hand. And I've got a caller here from Boston, my Boston caller. I don't know your name, however, but you know who you are. Hi, Boston. What is your question? And by the way, if you could give us your name, that would be great.
Sure. Is this me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
It is you.
My name is Stacy. Thank you so much for taking my call. So, question. How do I get out of my own way? I just feel like I know there's this greatness inside, but there's resistance to stepping into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so your phone's breaking up a little bit. You said, how do you get out of your own way? But you know there's a greatness inside. What is your name?
Stacy.
Stacy. Great. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So doing telecalls, you learn to pick out really bad audio and separate the voice from the.
Sorry, that was a cell phone call. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Stacy, here's the thing: is get the package. No, I'm just kidding. But quite frankly, the reason I say that,
it's all about greatness, really.
Truly, the whole reason I say that is because that's exactly why we put this thing together the way we did. So, but that I'm sorry, that was more of a joke in my head, and then I said it out loud. But it's like this: what you want to recognize is, what if everything that you considered real or true is not actually true for you? What if you've been trying to live according to somebody else's rules for reality rather than yours? So what I would say is everything you've done, everything you bought about you, and everything you bought about reality from your mom and from your dad before the age of 2, will you now destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Apparently, Stacy's not the only one who's got that going on.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of a biggie. And so, and it, it is such an appropriate question and a great question, because that, I would say, probably 90+% of people have. How do I get out of my own way? Recognize it's when you're in your own way, what you want to do is you want to step to the left. Okay? What do I mean by that? You've been on this path, and most often that path is not yours. You've been trying to live according to somebody else's reality. And instead of waking up and going, if I were truly creating my life today, what would I choose right away? You wake up and go, oh, okay, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this for this person, and this person, and this person, and this is my job, so I need to stay here and do this. And I only have these options because I have this job already and I have this relationship already. Rather than going, okay, here's another tool for you. What you want to do is you want to destroy and uncreate all the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections that destroy your possibilities every single day. Because every day you're going to pick up on people's judgments. You're going to pick up on people's projections. You're going to pick up on their expectations for where you should go and what you should do. You're going to pick up on the separation of that between you and what you would like to choose, and it gets further and further away the more you buy this other stuff. And also the rejections, meaning where they're rejecting you, or where you feel like if you don't do what they want you to, then you're rejecting them. That's not a nice place to live. So if you'll wake up every morning and go, all of the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections I have, and that anybody's putting on me regarding anything, I now destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds, and maybe do it several times throughout the day. What you'll notice within just a couple of days is you'll start waking up lighter, and then you'll start to get a sense of what's true for you. And this is so vital that, and nobody ever tells us this. Nobody ever tells us this, and nobody ever tells us how to get here. But it's so vital, because if you'll undo all this other stuff that has been here that looks real to you and yours, it feels like being compressed. As it starts to go away, you'll start to finally perceive what's true for you. And when you do, watch out. The world will become your oyster. It'll get easier to create than you ever thought it could be, and way more fun to be alive than you ever thought it should be.
Yes, there's phases there. You get lighter, and then you stop caring about what people think about you, and then you just feel your own truth, and then that starts to come out, and then that starts to get crazy because you get all excited about speaking your own truth. It's all, it's like a hose that's out of control.
Exactly. And then that's also the time where people come and they're like, you're not as nice as you used to be. And what they really mean is, you don't buy my crap anymore, And all you do is you go, cool, all of those projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections, I now destroy and uncreate them, right, wrong, good, bad, bottom, buck, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Oh, well.
And you just smile. And you realize where they're coming from. You don't have to buy it anymore. And that's one of the greatest gifts. You don't have to buy the stuff that is other people's anymore as yours.
Yep. I hear ya. Okay, let's go to phone calls again. We've got Eureka, California.
Wow.
Eureka. Hi, Eureka. Sorry. Whoops.
Rich, in Wairika. I have trouble crying, releasing things by crying, even by laughing, which is easier by resisted and sort of wears me out. And what would you suggest?
Crying? You cry a lot, you're saying?
No, trouble crying.
Not enough. Hardly any. My father died in '96, and I've never cried for him. I start crying occasionally for other people, but I usually shut it off before I feel anywhere near done.
Okay.
When I'm crying, I feel really good. I like it. I feel alive. Some people say it's not a matter of being in my body.
Well, yeah. People have all kinds of points of view that they like to put on other people, unfortunately. And, you know, that may be a possibility too. But what I would do is I would go, okay, so all the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections that have been placed on me or that I bought from anybody else that cause the wrongness of me for not crying and not laughing and not being emotional, destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. See, I'm a firm believer in that we do, and over the course of our lives, we have done the best darn job we could with the tools we had available at the time. And for somebody who doesn't cry or doesn't emote or doesn't have a level of emotional intensity, you know, that can occur for a lot of reasons. And maybe it was made wrong to be overly emotional. Or maybe, you know, you had a parent or a relative or a friend that was overly emotional and you're like, I'm not going to be like that. They're not doing anything.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Went to the other side. To unlock it, I would say, would be a little bit more in depth than we can get into right now. But what I would like, if I could, is to offer you this tool, if you'd use it, of all the projections, destroy and create all the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections, and then right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because if I would say this would be a thing where if we had a half an hour to speak, you know, and work, that would be one thing that we could get to, because I have a sense it's a little more in depth than we can get to during the call.
Yeah.
But if you can just come out of the wrongness of it, because everybody trying to make you wrong isn't helping it and isn't helping you get any closer to the freedom you would like.
Right.
And what I'd like you to have is a freedom you would like, and if you just acknowledge, look, I created this for some reason. And that reason was a damn good reason at the time. I may not know what it was, but it was appropriate for me and a good reason at the time. So everything I've done, and here's another thing you can do, everybody, anytime you make yourself wrong, everything I've done to make me wrong and all the judgments I'm using to make me wrong, I now destroy and uncreate it. Pock and pod, which is the short form for the clearing statement, or right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds, which is explained in the thing on the package. You can get the audio of it if you haven't heard it. Or all that weird stuff Dain said the other day, and it'll still work. Okay?
It'll still work. Yep. Which is great. Thank you so much for your call, by the way. I appreciate it. And these clearing statements, the processes, the classes, and especially the ESC, which stands for energetic synthesis of creation.
Communion. Yeah.
Is on these recordings, and they energetically hold their space on the recordings. It's amazing. It feels like it's in time, because you explained that time is a bit of a lie, and even though it was recorded, it's as if you're live right now, right here, hearing it, because the energy stays.
Yeah, each time you listen to it, and that's the weird part. I have people send me emails going, how did you do this? I feel like I'm hearing a completely different recording each time. I had somebody send one, said, I have listened to this 13 times, and every single time it has been a different recording that I'm hearing. How does this work?
I noticed the same exact thing. I went and listened to the processes of the call number 1. I didn't hear half of those processes. Like, was that on there? I go back, listen, and I'm like, wow, I missed that whole thing. Because something had scrambled my brain. I phased out, checked out for a bit, and then came back. And so it's really great because you get to listen to it. But I love how the energy stays. So when you're listening to these, it's relevant. It's as if it's happening now. The energy permeates through the recordings again and again and again and again. And it's not a trick. It's just the way that the energy set, which is very cool. So I'm going to have people go back to the website, which is theawareshow.com/Dain. Spend some time on this page when we are done with this call. Watch some of the videos. Listen to a few of the processes. There's a lot of great little toys in there. You get to see some of the experiences of these items because they're truly, truly powerful. And a whole nother level, if you've ever participated in any of the offers we've had in the past with Dain, this is a totally different vibration and cranked up.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Sure is.
And then you said that there's something I haven't even listened to yet that was just done, the body whispering.
Yeah.
What is that?
It was
I haven't.
2 days ago here in Houston, and it's a class. It's called Body Whispering: The Keys to Conscious Touch. And one of the interesting things is, one of the things that I recognize, because in addition to doing this verbal work and this, facilitating verbally, it's like I've been a chiropractor for many years, and also I learned that I had this energetic capacity to work with people's bodies. And so I'd have somebody come to me with something going on, and I would work on their body, and they would get up after, let's say, an hour-long session, and it would be different. And I was like, I wonder what's going on here, And so I started exploring it, and I realized that one of the things that has been missing in our lives, even for a lot of us as children, is kind, caring, gentle touch. And so it's kind of this interesting thing, because what are we talking about with this? We're talking about receiving, right? Well, your body is one of the largest elements that you have with you all the time.
Yes.
And because of our lack of willingness to receive with it and the lack of kindness we've received with it, we have this sort of hang-up that our body continuously presents to receiving everything. Because our body's like, ooh, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Whereas when people start receiving conscious touch, when they start receiving kind, caring touch, what starts to happen is their level of receiving of everything opens up. And they stop seeing the world as an unkind, uncaring place because they've actually felt it. And what this class unlocks, and this was a class that was actually live streamed around the world at the time, and I had people say, I was watching and I was in my home alone, and I feel like you came in and just healed my body. And I'm like, wow. And so you'll see, like there were a couple of kids that attended the class, and I start with the kids and show, hey, if you touched a child like this, you gave them this level of caring and kindness, or if you had gotten this when you were a kid, how would your life be different now?
Yeah.
And I was fortunate because I had a mom who we would lie down across each other's laps on the couch and touch each other's backs, and draw letters, and it was just this kindness and sweetness. And so that's how I touch people, and I realized how much of that is missing. But what this does, it reawakens that energy. And there was not one person in that class that was live, that left, that was live, I mean in person in the class. Yeah. They were all alive, I hope. But there was not one person.
They are now. They weren't then.
And it was so cool because every single person that was in there went, this transformed something, and I don't even know what it was, but I just feel kinder to me and my body today.
I'm excited. Cool.
And that was
excited
done
about that.
2 days ago.
So you just finished it. So this is the thing, is that if I got what I got out of the first three classes, that's just one item that I'm talking about that I just finished listening to. So I'm very excited about it. And then there's the bonuses, and there's things that you can download. There's like a starter pack there that Dain offers that kind of gives you the quick guide to the clearing statement and the access tools and so forth, so you can familiarize yourself with the Access Consciousness work. If you're new to it, welcome to the world of Access, because it is growing by leaps and bounds because it makes sense and because it gives people space and freedom. The first thing I noticed when I started with Access is the amount of space I had in my life. And then I moved because I needed more space. I moved because I needed to, I felt so, I was living in a place that had low ceilings, and I just couldn't, I just needed to breathe a little bit more. And it was just been an amazing journey for me to continually take steps up, take steps up, take steps up, I'm definitely a work in progress.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of it, you know, is it's continuous steps up, and there's no limit to the
No plateaus, really. You don't take time for plateaus.
no. It's like it truly does keep getting greater, and it doesn't mean that there aren't where you go, oh my gosh, everything, you know. But what happens is for what I've noticed there are lots of people who have told me the exact same thing. They said, so how's this experience been for you? They said, well, you know, my life used to kind of be like this. And I was like, yeah, I can relate to that. And they said, what it's like is it's sort of like the whole level of everything is sort of elevated. So there's a lot more lightness all the time. And rather than going way down, it's more like to here.
Totally.
But the general level of everything is rising and rising and rising. And
I told you at the beginning, I used to call you with all these crisis calls, and I've been cruising.
Yeah.
I've been on the
love
ascent.
it.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have creation calls. Oh, watch out, world.
Come in. Okay, I want to get to one more phone call. Is that okay? Because I told them I would, and I got to find it. Okay. Where'd you go? South Dakota, Rapid City.
We're hitting the high points.
Yeah. Hi, South Dakota. What is your name? South Dakota. I can hear you. Can you hear me? For some reason, the names aren't coming in here today. Phone number ends with 4602. That's you. Oh my gosh. Rapid City, South Dakota. We can do it. Okay. Let's try.
Next to Mount Rushmore. Come on.
Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon. There we go. Mount Vernon, Washington. Anna. Hi.
Hello.
Yes, sorry about that. Hi. Do you have a question for Dr. Dain Heer?
Am I on?
Yes, my love. Sorry, that was a little rough.
Oh my goodness! I'm actually in Anacortes, not Mount Vernon, so I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Cool.
Hi.
Yes, I do. I have well, first of all, I want to thank you, both of you. This is so wonderful. And I talked to Dr. Dain. I talked to you, I don't know, a couple of years ago when I thought I had a money problem. And you showed me that I really don't have a money problem at all.
Awesome. Very cool.
You asked me a couple questions, and it's like, well,
wow.
Like you asked me what I would do if I had more money, and I said, well, I would probably keep doing what I'm doing now because I love where I'm living and that kind of thing. And you said, well, see, you don't have a money problem. I'm like, God, he's right. I still have my clutter problem, which I thought was causing my money problem.
Oof.
But I still have a lot of clutter, and you told me to sit with my clutter, and I've been sitting with it for a couple of years, and it's still here.
You know, I would like to point one thing out. You must be pretty darn good if you're able to get on whenever you desire to, though, and get your question asked.
Yes.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay.
I'm sorry. I must be what?
Well, first of all, what is your name? I didn't get your name.
Oh, it's Rita.
Rita. Hi. Okay.
Hi.
Okay. So Rita, here's the thing that I'm going to ask first. So, Truth, is it actually your clutter problem?
Well, yeah, I think so.
I didn't ask.
I guess.
Thought so. It's either a yes or no.
I mean, I live alone, and so it's all my stuff, and
Rita.
I love a lot of my stuff. I think that's part of the problem.
Rita,
what?
Going logical. Your mind is a dangerous thing. Waste it. Let's go illogical for a moment. Go with the energy when I ask you the question. Truth, is it your clutter problem? Yes or no?
Yes.
Nice try.
Well,
apparently not. Okay. Now
maybe
here's
it's not such a problem because I don't know. I just have an awful lot of stuff.
So here's the thing: is you heard me talk about, and well, I haven't said it on this show, but that 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. But what I did talk about on this particular hangout is the idea that we pick up other people's realities and make them ours as we go throughout our lives. So this whole clutter problem, you're calling it, which as we're talking about, it's interesting because 2 years ago you called and thought you had a money problem and realized you didn't. Now you're calling about a clutter problem and apparently realizing you don't have a clutter problem either.
Right, right. Good.
This is where I like to get to say what one of my favorite sayings that we find out in Access is, you're not nearly as effed up as you think you are. So everything you're doing to try to prove how screwed up you are or how effed up you are, and I'm being good and not saying the full letters of the F.
Nice.
Go ahead and create it, please.
Thank you.
Right?
Good.
Good, bad, pod, and pock, all nine, church, boys, and beyonds. So the one thing about the clutter, though, is you might want to look at if you bought or adopted this from someone at some point. Because what happens is, if there's that energy in your world, like I have a stepmother who is she should be on American Hoarders. Oh my, like everything is stuffed everywhere all the time. And so I notice that tendency and that energy, and every time I do in every area, I go, okay, everything I did to buy this from her or buy this from anybody, I now destroy and uncreate it and return it to sender.
Yeah.
So you might, if you had, when you said yes, if that had sort of matched the energy or felt lighter, I would have gone, okay, cool, then let's deal with that. But when you say no, when you say yes and it doesn't match, it's because you bought that problem as yours when apparently it's not. So everything you've done to buy that clutter problem is yours when it's not. Everything you've all done out there to buy the money problem is yours when it's not. Where you destroy and uncreate it leaves.
Yes.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, either you're going to find it's not a problem, or it's not your problem. And all of a sudden what happens is things that you thought you couldn't ever let go of just start to leave your life in this wonderful way.
Create space for something new, too. So, I mean, it just creates space. Not to be filled, but it creates space.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for your call. I so appreciate it. And I know in the interest of Dain's time here, I need to let him go, even though I could talk to you all day. But I will listen for the rest of the time to the recordings because they're really phenomenal and transformational. Once again, you go to the website, which is theawareshow.com/Dain, D-A-I-N, and spend some time on that page, listen to some of the videos, and get the offer because it's truly, truly transformational. And I mean, seriously, I'm not talking here about step 1, step 2, step 3. You're changing the greatness of who you are, or you're re-accessing the greatness of who you are to increase and return to your natural state of havingness. And that's what it is.
It's kind of like explosion 1, explosion 2, explosion, you know, it just...
Totally.
And that's the thing is this, truly, it was put together. It was handpicked and handcrafted to take every aspect of what has been keeping us from the manifestation, the actualization we're capable of, and creating the money we're capable of, and going boom, 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 boom. And that's, so I just want you to know that's really where, from the space from which it was created.
You did this for us? Really?
Thank
you. Thank you and your wonderful team and my amazing team for working together and everyone in the background who makes these offerings happen.
Yeah, we really, I'm telling you, what a gift. I just absolutely would like to thank our team, thank your team, because we have some really cool people that we're fortunate to work with.
We do. Yes, we're all part of it. Just because we're on the show here doesn't mean that everyone else doesn't make this happen. So thank you to my team.
Somebody got them.
And so go get it because this is very, very special. It's exclusive. It's amazing. It's ridiculous. And
and I have a tool for you. And you want to use this for this and everything else you go to choose for the rest of your life. Just, you know, not to make it significant or anything. But it's like this. What will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? What will my life be like if I don't? And that's on the audios also. But what will my life be like if I choose this? Just get a sense of the energy. More or less, what will my life be like if I don't? And it's a great tool for choosing anything.
Yes.
Job, a house, a coffee, whatever it is. It's a
It
really
is.
awesome tool.
I heard you use that on the show. I mean, on the class. That was a really great measure, like a barometer for if I
Yeah.
use this, what will my life be like in 5 years? Wow, that's fantastic results. If I don't, So very interesting. I liked how you made some decisions based on with that tool. That was very cool.
Yeah, and that's a really cool one. And the only other thing I'd say to everybody is just notice if you feel any different than when you started watching the Hangout.
Very cool.
And
Yes.
if you do, that's kind of how this stuff works.
Yes.
It's basically totally unexplainable, but
Free.
totally like the magic you are.
Yes.
And it's about awakening to the magic you are, no longer doing this linear thing to try to figure out where you judge you and don't. Let's do something different. Let's explode the walls and see what you actually are underneath it all.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And as we said hello to people's greatness, and we've gone from there. People are feeling fantastic. More space is being created. It says everything has been very helpful. Thank you. Just really cool. Good stuff. Really good stuff coming in. So go get the offer. It's theawareshow.com/Dain. Enjoy it, expand, feel lighter, feel great, and then watch what happens to what appears. The miracles start to just attract to you. So it's really fun. And not only fun, it's transformational and for real. All right, Dain, I love you. Thank you so much for everything that you've taught me, for all of the help and the guidance, and for your belief in me, and for you seeing the greatness in me before I've ever seen it in myself, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear friend. I adore you. Thanks,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, I invite you all to just stay aware.